Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with AmericanScouser.com. I am the host, as always, Timuchin, early in this morning with the coffee. Trevor is with us, as always. I noticed, Trevor, you were starting to dance along with the music in the beginning, too. So
Yeah, I
you're
was bopped
official,
to it.
baby.
I bopped
And
to it.
making his debut appearance is Alex. Alex, what's happening, man?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going a lot better than it was
All right.
yesterday. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
The stress
So,
has been lifted.
Yes, right. I mean, I was saying this yesterday, though. I mean, until I see like 2-3 games back to back where we kind of play how we did, and we got to figure out, is it what we did? Is it the Rangers? Is it what made it like what happened? So let's talk about that a little bit. Despite the denials where Klopp says, and I quote, it was a 4-4-2, and when we defended, it was a 4-6. It worked really well, and it's always an option to play like this, he says, after the game. Alan is with us this morning. Good morning, Alan. So, Trevor, let's start with you. It wasn't 4-4-2 or 4-2-6 and shit. It was basically a 4-2-3-1 that we've been probably asking for since early summer, and we thought every signing we were making, whether it's Carvalho, whether it's Nunez, it was like, oh, we must be switching to 4-2-3-1. And then we do not. So do you think we switched, or it was a matter of it was Rangers? We were trying to find a way to get as many attackers as possible out there.
I think it's a more towards the latter of it was a adaptation to how we knew Rangers was going to play, because they were going to sit there and just, as I put it, slit the tires on the park bus and just make sure that thing isn't moving at all. Poor Morelos up top was like the only guy over the midfield line for the vast majority of the first half. That they made it known what they were going to do, and we had to find a way to combat that. And having Mo with that little extra space sitting behind Nunez and having those three guys able to interconnect in that fashion was very helpful. And not having the midfielders behind them the sitting ones have to worry too much about coming forward was very helpful to the defenders. So while we all hoped for more, I think what it showed is that system could work very, very well with our personnel, and it's something that a lot of us have clamored for, just showing that it does work.
What do you think, Alex? I mean, is it a matter of, like I say, it's Rangers, so we want to get as many scorers out there as possible, so we roll this out? Or was like, hey, if we're going to test this out, this is a good game to test this out kind of deal? Like, does he stick with this?
I think we know he's stubborn, so he probably won't admit he's going to stick with it. But I think any Liverpool fan would say we probably look the most solid when we play that formation. It's all the players look comfortable. Darwin Nunez in particular looks very comfortable in that formation. Salah gets a little bit more to do and play up. And I think the best thing is our defense looked way better last night in that formation. They just look more comfortable knowing the fact that there's two midfielders there for backup just in case if they mess up. So I think the 4-2-3-1 is the way to go. Obviously it's Klopp, so we don't know if he's going to stick to it, but I think it's the best way to go for Liverpool for the season that we're going to play this season.
So here's the bigger question, though. Like, I mean, obviously it looked good. I thought, especially for Hendo, that was more of like an ideal formation for him and a spot for him, because he's really good at that quick release passes. Like Thiago usually has to kind of, do his couple of little moves, look up and play the pass. More the anticipation that kills you. Whereas Hando is a lot more like first time passing and stuff like that. So I thought it really helped him when he could pick up those balls in midfield and like release Mo or release Costas and stuff. So here's the question, though, and we kind of saw it in the last 10, 15 minutes where if a team is still trying to get at us, would they still cause problems? And obviously we changed a lot and there were a lot of people out there. But is it the Rangers that made the system look good, Trevor? Or is the system really good anyway?
Yeah, I think that Rangers' inability to make anything resembling a competent attack for the majority of the game made the defense look better than it truly was. And that the last hectic minutes when they were finally getting shots on target proved that if you make mistakes, and there was a couple mistakes that led to some really chances that Rangers didn't deserve, in my opinion. And I think it's something where, yeah, Rangers, and if you've seen them in their other Champions League games, haven't scored yet. They make a lot of defenses look really good. But going back to what Alex said, I think it was a comfort level. There, you see that these guys weren't always in full panic mode when those things came. Yes, Rangers were able to break through a couple times, but there was no panic. Like when they had to clear the ball off the line, there was no panic. It was all just everybody was where they were supposed to be. They got a good ball through, they got a good ball in, and everybody did what they were supposed to. So I think that it's something where Rangers made us look better. But yeah, that comfort level with that formation, I think, is paramount.
So, as a gut feeling, let's say this weekend, for example, if you did an early preview here, Alex, do you think we come out with a similar lineup or we go back to default settings?
I think he goes. I think he goes at it. I think he goes with the 4-2-3-1 this weekend. I think he was happy with the way for majority of game it worked, and I agree with Trevor. There were some mistakes at the end there. The one glaring mistake I remember is the Matip one where he I can't remember who was it, Matundo or something like that. He went to try to close him down and just kind of screwed the back line by doing that and let the chances happen. But I think he goes with that against Arsenal. I think because I think it'll work well against Arsenal the way they attack, because their Arsenal is a lot similar to the old Liverpool where it's, go at it, but they can get hit on the break. And you saw that a lot when they played Manchester United. You saw they were kind of in trouble with that when they played Tottenham, but they are very much like Liverpool back a couple years, probably like 2018 Liverpool. So I think he goes with the 4-2-3-1 and kind of tries to absorb the pressure and hit a counterattack, or he'll try to we'll try to put on pressure with the 4-2-3-1.
So couple of things to look at. So Alan says 4-2-3-1 is presumably designed for Nunez rather than Bobby or Jota. See, here's my thing. I actually think Bobby in that spot, I was expecting a lot more after he came in, because I feel like that spot is a lot better built for Bobby, like to play behind Nunez than actually Jota. And if it wasn't Rangers, I think it would be probably Bobby taking that spot. And I know we're kind of like trying to shuffle minutes and equal out minutes and stuff like that. I mean, with the October coming up, but two players to talk about. One is Nunez, obviously. He gets into a ton of positions, probably should have had a couple of goals. Couple of them great saves, couple of them maybe not as clinical finishes. But what do you make of his game overall, Trevor? And I mean, I'm sure he's frustrated that he didn't score, but at the same time, he has to be pleased. And, I guess we should be pleased that he's getting into those situations, making those runs.
Yeah, and you could tell late in the game that everybody was trying to just feed him to get him that goal, because he had that one where McGregor made that huge diving save on that really good dipping shot that was going towards the bottom corner. And he had one where he just had acres of space and he tried to do the old curler McGee, and it just went and went far to the right, which was but you can see that he's not super frustrated with the fact that he's not getting the ball. He's frustrated that he's not scoring. And for a striker, just in my head, to not have the frustration that you're not getting opportunities is worse than not scoring, because eventually if you keep getting into those spots, you are going to score. You're a world-class striker. You're going to get those shots to go in eventually. It's just whether or not you're getting that service, which is going to get you those opportunities more frequently. I personally would be more upset if I wasn't getting the opportunities rather than the goals, because it's a guy that the price tag was there for a reason. His Champions League record is there from Benfica for a reason. And now they're trying to find a way to get the most out of him. I hope for this in the winter window that they sign a couple more strikers just for anything, so they can do what you said, put Bobby behind him and just let him just find those little pockets to get Nunez through and just let the goals fly.
I think one thing I like seeing was, and I was talking about this in the Premier League show, that we see from Holland, that he makes really aggressive runs, and he might not get the ball every time, but definitely takes a lot of people with him because the run is so aggressive. I mean, there's a run you can make, you can kind of be like, I'm over here on the left a little bit, but the way he makes those runs, I think dictates the defender to kind of go with him and chase him, because he's going freaking full speed when he makes those runs, and like the diagonal runs he was making. So I think it opens up a lot of space for either, like you were saying earlier, like Mo to go into, and more importantly, I think Bobby to go into, especially in his form recently. I think that is golden. I think he's a lot better on the ball. His passing is a lot better. His creativity is a lot better than Jota. He's not the finisher that Jota is, but I mean, that ball that, another great save by McGregor, by the way, with Jota. I mean, that is going to the top corner. And I was like, it went to the right guy. The guy can shoot. So the second guy I want to get to, Alex, so I'm comfortable with this, is obviously Trent. He scores that goal. Probably the guy that needed it the most. Has gotten a lot of shit from people, including myself, and I think rightfully so. I mean, if you're gonna do mistakes, you're gonna be called out on it. Do you think it's still? You saw the team's reaction, so everybody, honestly, obviously understands that he's under a lot of pressure, and he's probably hurting a little bit from this. What do you make of it? Like, what does this do for his confidence? Does it even do anything? Because it wasn't like a defensive feat. Nobody has ever questioned what he does attacking. It's always defending. So does one help the other?
I think the biggest thing, what I noticed last night or yesterday, was I think somebody talked to him and just told him, keep it basic, is what I noticed last night with him. If you've seen his recent games, it felt like he was trying too much, and he's been trying too much recently. I know he's got all this pressure on. People forget. I just realized last night, I forgot he's 22 years old. He's still got a tremendous amount of his career left. So he has so much time to improve. But I think last night, I don't know if it was Klopp, I don't know if it was Lenners, I don't know if it was Henderson, but somebody told him, just do the basics. And I think he was rewarded just doing the basics. And that's what he might just have to do that for a couple games to get his confidence up. And I think that's what he just needs.
Yeah, I mean, he had some like really good passes yesterday. Didn't have to do as much defensively, so it's kind of like hard to judge him on that. Sparky Parky is with us. Sparky Parky just got back in the US, so since he's saying afternoon, guys, I'm assuming he's not in the US anymore. There's no damn time zone in the US right now where he could be saying afternoon. So I'm guessing Sparky's back home again. So we'll keep track of him. You need like a freaking GPS to keep track of where Sparky Watch. Sparky Watch is right. Yeah. So last question before we move on, because I'm sure the guys tomorrow night's podcast will go into this game a lot and kind of like really dissect it. But for the middle two, who do you have? If we're doing the 4-2-3-1, Alex, we'll start with you on this one. Give me your ideal two and why you're picking those two. Because obvious, I mean, the choices are obvious right now, but
I think you got. To be honest with you, I think you just have to stick with Thiago and Henderson. I think, like you said earlier, Henderson's play where he just plays the one-time pass, and we know that Henderson's very good defensively. I think you need to keep him back there just as a safety net for Trent. And then Thiago just does what Thiago wants. And I think last night maybe he didn't have the best game, but I mean it was still a pretty good game by his standards. But I think those two, I think we just look a little bit more solidified right there. I think I agree with a lot of the stuff on the internet about Fabinho kind of needs a break because we're running him in the ground. I agree with that. Bring him on as a substitute, and when he's ready to play 90 minutes, obviously he's another choice to put in there if Henderson can't do it.
how about you, Trevor? Who are you picking as the two there?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that as it stands, Henderson, Thiago, if you're playing that formation, is your two, and then you have Fabinho as your closer. Whoever is needs that rest. If it's something where one guy has particularly been running more than the other, Fabinho is your closer for there. I think you have enough late game subs that you can make for cover for them, where you don't need to worry about overextending them, like playing Thiago or Hendo for a full 90. But yeah, if we're going to start in that formation, just with what they can bring as that start from the starting whistle connectivity between the back and the front, those two are the guys that you got to go with.
That's odd. See, I mean, I don't think you. I basically, I'm not saying this off of form. I guess if you said off of form, you probably don't find a spot for Fab over there. But I mean, he's still. I think it's a lot of like tired legs for him. I think, still, especially with this formation, if he's going to be, I mean, on a game like this, you got to get rest, right? So I think that will help him. I still think you need Fab in there. I mean, he's perhaps like one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. I don't think you bench him. If anything, I was going to say Fab and Hendo there. And, you can bring Thiago in because he's good at controlling the game, controlling the pace. Like if you're trying to kill off a game, he's the guy you want in there. And perhaps, you bring him in there after a lead and switch back to your 4-3-3. You take out the attacking midfielder or something like that. But I think you need Fab in there. But I loved what Hendo did. It looked more Hendo, if you will, yesterday watching that. So I don't know if it was just, we will see. I'm, as optimistic as I am, like recently going into games, hoping for this turnaround. At the same time, I'm really cautious about, this was against Rangers, and I don't know if it was them that made it look good. Is if Handel and this formation and everything looks just as good against Arsenal, I'm sold, and I'll be like, here we go. But until we see it, I don't know. The only good thing is against a team like Arsenal, against any Premier League team, is something freaking different that they have to get ready for, and they have to attack differently. Otherwise, we've been kind of like doing the same thing for a long time. And I think it's one of those where you say, hey, we're going to do our thing, and we're going to do it so good that doesn't freaking matter. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and I'm still going to be able to do it because I do it that well, and you're not going to be able to stop it. But obviously, recently, we haven't been as good at doing it. So I think this change will kind of help in that case. So, like I say, let's leave a bit for the boys to kind of go over as well and get back to our morning spiel of headlines. Two headlines to mainly go after, I think. One is our boy. So I guess this is Xavi Alonso being, so this is the odd thing. The first headline I saw regarding this was Tuchel turning down the Leverkusen job. Then I see this headline, but then the dude, as of I know, has not been sacked yet, but there's already people like turning down his job and stuff like that. I mean, let's start with Tuchel. I mean, do you think Trevor is pretty natural, probably below Tuchel levels to go to Bayer Leverkusen?
Yeah,
Nothing against
I don't.
Leverkusen, but
Yeah, I don't think at this stage of his career he'd take that job unless there was a significant backroom obligations that were being promised to him, of like just a fraction of ownership or something weird, which doesn't really happen in German football. They kind of keep that
Mm-hmm.
stuff above board. But I I'd be happy to see Xabi get that job, but it's let's get the guy canned first before we have his successors already appointed.
he hasn't
Fuck's
even
sake.
packed up his shit yet from the office, and the new guy
Yeah,
is putting his stuff around. He's like, "Can you take your crap out of the way?" I mean,
yeah.
isn't Alonso a really weird choice, though, Alex? I mean, like, who's in the Bayer Leverkusen board that says, he'll be really good? Alonso. Why? I like him as a player.
I thought it was. Is Xavi? Is he even managing anywhere?
Real Sociedad B is where he's at right now.
Hmm.
Before that, he was in the youth teams, it was like a youth team coach at Madrid, but we're talking like really youth, not like U21 or something like
No,
that.
not
It
like
was,
Zidane youth, like yeah.
yeah, he was with like kids, like, like 14, 15-year-olds or something like that. Hold on, I'll look at
Uh-huh.
it while you're gonna go ahead.
See, I guess that would, in my thinking of how Bayer Leverkusen is, because we have to remember Bayer Leverkusen is definitely one of those teams that develops players and then sells them for money, and that's how they make their money. I think if you get somebody that's like on a reserve team, maybe like a lesser option like Xavi, and he's played in Germany, he's loved in Germany, and he's good at developing players. I think with Bayer, you can justify that hiring. But saying he's the number one choice, I don't know. There's probably somebody out there also that can develop players, like the guy that went to Brighton. They can't get him now because he's at Brighton, but I think for Bayer Leverkusen's sake, though, they're looking for somebody that can develop players so they can sell them on to make money. So that's what they're looking for. And if I remember correctly, didn't Bayer Leverkusen win their first Champions League game? Don't they have a win? I thought they had 3 points or something, and I thought they were at least in the top 5 in the Bundesliga. I think that would just be bizarre if they were gonna fire him.
Yeah, I don't know if they're. Let's look at the standings over here, and I will tell you. Bayer Leverkusen, where the hell are they? I mean, that's a tricky group as well. They have won one game. Yes, they are at 3 points. Basically, Mignolet over there is running away with it. 3 wins in 3 games. Club Brugge is like 9 points, and everybody else, Porto, Leverkusen, and Atletico Madrid are 3 points tied.
I don't feel as bad about finishing second.
Yeah, no, nobody saw that coming in that group. That has been like really odd, to be honest with you. But I mean, he was U14, by the way, in Real Madrid. Like, I could have understood this if if his name was being thrown around for like Real Sociedad or something like that, like an ex-player kind of thing. I just felt like his name being thrown out for Bayer Leverkusen is weird. But that is a good point, Alex. I mean, I guess, they could be like, he's really good with the kids. But I mean, I don't know if like a Leverkusen player right now is like, oh, great, this guy is coming. He's really good with the kids. So another guy who's not so happy with the situation, probably more so than Gerardo over there waiting to be canned, is Cristiano Ronaldo. So the more rumors that he will ask to leave in January. Mecca and I, when the whole summer talks were going on, had a lot of good talks about Ronaldo, and it got a lot of good laughs on him at Ronaldo's expense, I might add. What do you think? I mean, Trevor, I mean, you can't blame the guy. I just don't know who's going to be like, Ronaldo, January, let's do this.
Yeah, it just feels like a weird ad lib. Ronaldo January transfer. It just doesn't make sense. It's definitely something that you just never thought you'd hear in your life, even at this stage of his career. But yeah, it goes back to who's going to pay those wages and who's going to give him what he wants, the opportunity to win and score all the goals. And I don't think there's a team that would provide him that triumvirate of what he wants. If there's a team that will pay him, they're probably going to just bring him in for shirt sales because no one that is in that upper echelon of Europe right now needs him. All right, so you're not going to win. So that one's off. But they'll pay you. And if they're paying you for that, they're probably going to give you opportunity to score. And, but if he starts to sulk again and then they bench him, then you take that one off the equation. And I don't know. It's just a mess with him. I genuinely don't have any place for him to go because the only one that I had heard big rumblings of going into the year was Napoli, and they are the best team in Italy without question. And throwing him into that, why would they do that? That would make absolutely no sense. So there's really no place for him to go.
Yeah, I mean, you would think if the time comes in January, he might say, "Oh, the damn with the money. I just want to play," and kind of like lower the wages. But even then, Alex, it's kind of hard to find a team. Like we were talking right before we went on air. The only scenario I can see is somebody having like an injury in the World Cup, and then so January on, a good team is in need of a striker, so they go after him. Otherwise, I can't see a scenario like Napoli is a great example. Like I think Trevor, because why would they mess with a good thing? I mean, they're on a roll. But unless something happens that a team that's already doing well loses their starting striker in the World Cup, I don't see why anyone would, even with low wages, would want to throw him in there. Give me a team where he can go, Alex. Let's do some.
Sporting Lisbon, because they are playing well in the Champions League. But I can, be like a coming home type thing. If you want me to give my anti-United success rant, I can do that. I say, send contracts, play him every game, make it as toxic as you can, and just keep him there for a very long time. I like that option better than sending him somewhere else. So that is my take on Ronaldo. But with all seriousness, honestly, I think maybe Sporting Lisbon. I can't see any of the German teams taking him. I can't see any Italian team taking him. I think he's just kind of stuck there until his contract runs out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be banging his head on the wall when he made that United comeback. Was probably I think Sporting Lisbon actually is a good shout just because it brings that coming back home vibes and stuff like that. And I think he can kind of sell it. It has to be killing him. I mean, obviously, you go online, any post on Ronaldo and Messi is a bunch of like Ronaldo and Messi fanboys like going at it. And I'm sure, he always, I'm sure those two guys compare themselves to the other one all the time as well as like, the GOAT or whatever. And it has to kill him that, his trajectory has been pretty much like going down full speed. While, Messi might not be the guy, but he's still in, he's in the Champions League for one. So that's like a big plus compared to. Speaking of Champions League, before we go, Trevor, give me a score that kind of shocked you yesterday or made you say, what the hell? Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And I just want to take my very rare victory lap of getting the score for.
You know what? We got Rangers that. Yes.
Bang on the banana.
High five over.
Happens once every decade, so I'll take my flowers when I get them. But yeah, the one that was the biggest shock to me, and granted, they've won 3 out of 3, but Bruges shutting out Atletico Madrid and doing it the way they did was crazy. They just every time they would cut to a highlight in like the kind of second feed that we were watching at the bar, whereas you're like, how are they still just holding this team off? And get Atletico out of this competition. I don't want to see them match up with Liverpool at all. They're annoying. Just go away. Get parachuted down to the Europa. Go do something with that. Please just get out of my face.
Get out of my face. Oh, how about you there, Alex? What do you have? Oh, your sound is gone.
Oh, there. Am I
there
back?
we go.
I think 6-1 Napoli. I was gonna take Club Brugge, but I was thinking in my head.
Sorry.
I'm gonna see which way Trevor goes. If he goes 6-1, then I'll say Club Brugge. If he goes Club Brugge, I'll go with 6-1. I mean, Napoli is just amazing. And if Liverpool decide, I'm a big fan of that little Georgian at Napoli. I mean, that dude knows how to boss a midfield. I am like surprised nobody else has picked him up, but he is a fantastic player to watch. If you ever get time, watch him. He's good.
Yeah, I mean,
that Napoli team's going to get ravaged in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. There's like a lot of good players, and I mean,
I
think when we were talking about it on the podcast too, I expect him to win this one. I just did not think they would, blow him out like that. And even it was 1-1 and then it became 2-1. I was like, Napoli will hang on. I didn't realize they were just going to not only hang on and like slam him down at the same time. But if I had to pick one, I think I would go with the Club Brugge one too. Nobody saw that coming in that group. 3-3, you win one, you're like, hey, there we go. You win two. This was, I thought, like their biggest test in terms of, do you keep that momentum going? Because, 6 points in 2 games. The way it is, nothing is guaranteed yet because obviously they're going to go to Spain now. But now, Club Brugge in a situation, and let's see if this hurts them where they're now in a situation where a draw is just fine, wherever they go or whatever they play. But sometimes that backfires when you play for a draw, you get smashed. So we will see. That's going to be an interesting game to watch in Spain. And I will be rooting for our boy Mignolet. I will be rooting for freaking anybody over Atletico Madrid at this point anyway, but it is what it is. Well, gentlemen, thanks a lot. And thanks to all those listening. Let's see where Sparky is. He'll show up again tomorrow somewhere. Tune in again tomorrow morning. Trevor and I will be here kind of like recapping the games and looking at the headlines again. And Thursday night, obviously, Mecca, David, and Jamie will be on, and they will be kind of like probably dissecting the hell out of the game yesterday. But yes, got the score right, so we can live with that, Trevor, until at least the weekends. That streak will end this weekend. Alex, thanks for joining us on your debut. And take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Yep.